Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Point Out with Sidra Iftikhar. Viewers, we have today with us Advocate Usman Awan, CEO, Just Magnum Advocate and Corporate Consultant. Today, Advocate Usman Awan is going to highlight some legal issues. So here he is with us with his point out. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Sidra. Congrats to you and Just One TV on launching of this media medium to voice legal issues and those related to legal fraternity.
Welcome, sir. And what's your point out, sir?
I intend to point out that National Accountability Ordinance 1999, which was promulgated by a usurper, is a bad law.
A bad law.
It is almost 2 decades that this law might have some inspirational lines for reading purposes, but practically it has proved to be an exploitation tool against political rivals. It was a dictator against his political rivals, and then political parties in power against their political rivals, and so on and so forth.
So what legal issues you intend to identify in National Accountability Ordinance 1999? We want to know that.
First of all, after 18th Amendment, it was mandatory that the Parliament treat this ordinance as an ordinance and it ratifies it as a law,
Okay.
which has not been done. This question renders this law obsolete, and this question has raised. This question has been raised
Okay.
before the Honorable Lahore High Court, Lahore,
Okay.
and a full bench is constituted, and this question is being addressed by them these days.
Okay. So how far do you think that NAB has been able to achieve its goal?
As far as achievement of goals is concerned, this question does not relate to the legal aspect of law.
Okay. So-
However, it is relevant to point out that fairness in exercise of powers, like that is defined in Article 24A of General Clauses Act. Here in an NAO, it clearly provides that the purposes of ordinance should be governed through rules to be made under a specific section of this ordinance. But it is unfortunate that for the last 20 years, NAB is operating without rules.
Oh my God.
So nobody took it serious, and absence of these rules empower NAB to destruct fundamental rights of people.
Okay.
And it starts from their inquiry and investigation, and it goes on up to the finality of investigation in shape of references they file. So to start with, we can say that there is a mechanism in which the law provides that there should be a complaint, or government should file a reference, or Chairman NAB on his own accord starts or trigger an inquiry or investigation. But in fact, its own accord or mala fideli, NAB
Mela
Mela-fidely,
Okay.
NAB tries to entangle people, and for years there are applications, and
Okay.
for purposes they call in people after say 10 years or whenever they choose to
Yes.
be, whenever there is a requirement to snub anyone. So
Yes.
it is not provided anywhere that when a complaint arrives in NAB, how they have to deal it.
Deal it. Exactly.
Their defense is that they have SOPs to deal it, that is standard operating procedures.
Okay.
But those SOPs have no legal protection at all. Now, overall, sitting after promulgation of 20 years, we look that they ask people to come, ask them to provide information. That is against the constitution, that if you presume that somebody is an accused, you require him to fill a pro forma of 15-20 pages that
Yes.
include all the information of an accused, his family, his parents, his children,
Everything.
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 Now you're asking an accused person and you're not performing your duty as a prosecutor or
Yes.
prosecution
Yes.
to make up a case. And then you start digging and like you create a pressure unnecessary upon the accused or his family that he should prefer to surrender whatever assets he have, without even like identification of that
Identifies.
factor of corruption, because NAB had to identify corrupt element in anything.
Exactly.
So they do not usually do that. There are certain provisions of NAB which clearly conflicts with the fundamental rights. When you ask somebody to turn up and provide you information under Article 19 or under Section 19 of
Section
NAB,
19.
a person appear before you and he do not know actually that he is an accused, he is called as
Okay.
witness. There's no notice. So
Okay, without any notice.
they serve a notice under Section 19 and
Okay.
they call upon you to furnish information.
Okay.
But when you walk in, you do not know that whether you have been called as an accused or as a witness.
Okay.
And when you turn up in their office, they give you a performa, which is a 15-20 pager, and they ask each and every information about you
Okay.
regarding your family, regarding your assets, regarding your bank accounts, regarding the fee you pay of your
Oh
children,
my God, each and everything.
regarding your club memberships, your international travel. It's a good 15 pager. And
Okay.
if you are accused, which you do not actually know, they cannot under the constitution ask you to give all those details.
Exactly.
So that create a threat, with a threat that NAB can have you arrested and keep you on 90 days of physical remand, and there is no right of bail
No right of bail.
in this law.
Okay.
So all these threats combined constitutes a situation which clearly defeats the fundamental rights provided in the constitution.
Constitution.
And when we talk of physical remand, it's a solitary confinement. People are kept there up to 90 days, and in 90 days, the total time of investigation is not more than a day, 24 hours.
Oh my God.
So that is the threat, that a person is kept there for 90 days and there is no parameter to judge that what has been investigated in all that period.
Okay.
So if there were rules, there was a possibility that there is a mechanism to gauge this violation of basic fundamental rights.
Exactly.
So as far as progress in investigation or inquiry is concerned, or the liability of NAB as an institution of inquiring or investigating crime, that is not there practically. It is an institution which keep people in their threat and confinement, and it compel them to be on their terms only.
So, sir, why do you think that government remain ignorant of this misery going on, and we want to know the resolutions as well?
In fact, the first government which promulgated this law was a dictatorship, and in order to survive in power, they had this tool. They were using this law against their political rivals.
Okay.
Later on, which governments came, they were again doing the same thing, and it was one after another using this law, the negativity of this law against each other.
Okay, so
So
resolutions.
practically, if we say that 20 years ago there was a fair conception of combating corruption, and even it is today's resolve, then we don't see this law happening fairly.
Exactly.
Because this was the question 20 years ago, that there is corruption and there is a law required.
Yes.
And today, even after 20 years, this is a question that there is corruption and there is law required. So it was a failed law. So had this been a successful law, there was not rather more eminent desire today of combating corruption. So in fact, I feel that democracy and democratic values have been negatively connected with this law to deprive, to harass, to injure the political rivals only.
Political arrivals only.
Yes.
Okay.
And when we look on to the other aspect, when we look on to the accountability courts formed to try these cases, the ultimate conviction rate is less than 10%.
Oh my God. Less than 10%.
Yes. The lower courts, the accountability courts usually go by what NAB places before it, and the recovery element is there.
Okay.
Without even looking on to the basics of evidence or the appreciation of evidence. The court is more concerned about the recovery aspect and connivance and like generalities of presumptions.
Exactly.
It is not a fair case of prosecution to prove. Generally, they say it's a white collar crime, and they go on with this assumption, and they compel people towards a recovery. So, whatever is written by NAB in a reference before a court, the court carries it right away. And when the superior courts look on to those trials, they simply turn them down. And that is why I have said the conviction rate, if you confirm from their statistics, you will come to know that in fact the purpose of this law is not conviction, but a mechanism of recovery through means which are not acceptable by the constitution. I don't expect that it is the government's part to take action, because if this law has to prevail, there are rules required, there are mechanisms required.
Exactly.
Unless there are rules, this law will remain unfair, and there will be victimization, there will be violation of rules, there will be a usurpation of rights. That is there. So all NAB, the government, the legislature, everybody has to look on to this aspect, that there should be rules, and unless there are rules, this institution cannot perform positively or impartially.
Exactly. That is the basic thing.
The requirement of rules is the first thing.
Okay.
Then, as far as trial is concerned, the law provides that they should complete trial within 30 days. Actually, it doesn't happen.
Then?
Even superior courts, when look on to the delays in trials, directs a trial to be completed in 6 months or a year.
Okay.
While the law provides it should be done in 30 days.
In 30 days.
So when it cannot be done in 30 days, it should not be in law.
Exactly.
So these things have not been looked onto for last 20 years, because the intent was not a practice of positive law. So the authority which vests in NAB authorities has not been exercised fairly, and it is not expected that they can exercise it fairly, for the reason that there is no no mechanism to gauge their excess or misuse of power.
Misuse of powers.
So the highlight is today, or the point out of today is that if a national accountability ordinance is to be exercised, it should be exercised under proper rules. And on the other hand, the rights of people as regards property, as regards their confinement, should be protected. There are two sections of NAB ordinance which I want to point out. Those are section 23 and section 12.
Okay.
Now what NAB do actually is that they write a letter to authority that they should not transfer a property that is in the section 23.
Okay. Section 23.
Section 23 of NAB ordinance. But they do not do an exercise of freezing of property, which they assume is made out of corrupt money.
So what they do?
They just write a letter
to
the authority that do not transfer this property to third party.
Okay.
But the law provides that if you assume that the property is made out of corrupt money, they should freeze it.
They should freeze
and
it.
They should go to the accountability court and get a freezing order confirmed.
Yes, properly.
They don't do it.
Okay.
So misery is that if you are holding a property, or your son or daughter or wife or anybody else is holding a property which is of genuine means, they just write a letter and they put people in misery.
Okay.
So NAB has
this
failed
is a very
to,
legal issue.
NAB has failed to perform its obligations for reasons and for legal flaws. And it has proved to be an exploiting agency, and this cannot go on for so long in this manner.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for highlighting such an important issue. So viewers, I, Sidra Iftikhar, call upon the forums and people having feel for the country to look on the issues pointed out on a positive way. I hope you find today's show valuable. So see you in our next show with our next guest. Allah Hafiz.